Canticle for Leibowitz is a novel by Walter M. Miller that won the Hugo Award in 1961. It's a fix-up, meaning it's made up of short stories that have been collected into one narrative. It's pretty common. We've seen it earlier this season with The Martian Chronicles, Earthlight, and some others. This book is made up of 3 stories, connected by their setting. Leibowitz is set in a post-apocalyptic world where technology is back at an agrarian level. The people have turned their back on technology and science, blaming them for the nuclear holocaust, obviously. The one organization holding any semblance of civilization together, the organization that is secretly collecting, preserving, and teaching the secrets of the before times, is the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church, being the last bastion of civilization, is probably the most science-fictional concept of the premise. But this is what they're going with, so you either get on board or you move on. This story follows Brother Francis, who, while interacting with a stranger in the ruins of a town near his abbey, finds a fallout shelter containing some surprising relics which might help his order get their blessed Leibowitz sainted. Francis isn't the sharpest tool in the shed, which works pretty well when introducing a setting to the reader. He's a likable guy who ends up in the right place at the right time, or wrong, depending on how you look at it, and ends up leading something of an interesting life. Though I have to say, I wasn't fond of the way the story ended. Realistic? Sure. But satisfying? Not so much. But that's life, I guess. If you're enjoying this video, why not buy my book? Flight of the Pangolin is the story of an intrepid group of heroes who decide to exit the solar system over the objections of an isolationist faction. There's actually a lot more going on than that. There's space pirates, a giant spider for no reason, all kinds of other things. Buy it now online wherever you buy books or at our website, www.thepangolinrepublic.com. You can also get fun t-shirts and random other stuff if you want. We now move another half millennium into the future, the year 3174. Since the previous story, technology hasn't improved significantly, though they're into gunpowder, and during the story, the monastery is working on electric lighting. But the social order has definitely progressed. Catholicism is less a belief system than a method of controlling the masses. There are various religious schisms producing an anti-pope and a sort of Templar analog. And in the background, Mad Bear, warlord of the Plains Nomads, is scheming schemes against the surrounding nations. Dom Paulo is running the monastery of St. Leibowitz as they await the arrival of Thontatio, the most brilliant and politically connected natural philosopher of his age. But with war brewing between the nation-states, the monastery might be a strategic location for some of the factions. This story, with its combination of political and monastic intrigue, was kind of right in my wheelhouse. Of the 3 stories, this one was maybe my favorite. Being the middle story, it didn't need to do the heavy lifting of introducing the setting or ending the book, so it managed a brighter, breezier tone, despite what was hanging over it a little bit. Skipping forward yet again to the year 3781, we follow another abbot, Dom Zurchi, as he does his best to navigate the monastery through a difficult time. We've come full circle now, and nuclear war is once again imminent. Even though the cultures are different and some of the technology is too, all the hallmarks of another impending nuclear apocalypse are bearing down on this story. The cycle, Miller surmises, is unavoidable. But while Dom Zurchi prepares the Vatican's plan to send a ship carrying enough personnel to restart the church on a colony world, he's also dealing with the after effects of limited nuclear strikes and the hopelessness of radiation poisoning, and railing against the triage doctors who are red tagging patients for state-approved self-harm. Miller was a great writer and does a really good job of balancing the tones here, in this last story especially, as Dom Zurchi's situation continues to deteriorate along with civilizations. And he pulls no punches. The bit with Mrs. Grails and Rachel at the end was the stuff of nightmares. Overall, this is a great book, but at times a heavy one, though it works very hard to maintain a vein of good spirits throughout. It's a neat trick and tone Miller manages here. I saw one review on Goodreads called it his comfort food book, and in spite of the subject matter, I get it. That wasn't my personal experience, but I get it. I think that this is a book that in some ways will become less relevant over time, though I doubt the idea of the hovering specter of needless annihilation will age out anytime soon. Part of me was surprised that it won the Hugo, but it was smack in the middle of the Cold War era, so I guess that tracks. It's a good book for sure, but there are a lot of good books, and I wouldn't put this in a must-read type category unless you're into the post-apocalyptic genre. I think it's probably the book for the post-apocalyptic genre. Or if you're writing in the post-apocalyptic genre, this is definitely a must-read as well. I think that's a sweet spot for me on this. I think it'll continue to be an essential read in the post-apocalyptic genre, regardless of its age. So that's all for this book report. We'll see you in the next one.